final episode of the first season of Ushio and Tora. Our heroes battle against a deadly combination of mad science and ancient demonic yokai. This is it, my friends, the end of the first season, an episode that's going to leave us on a cliffhanger before we get to the final battle with the Hakumen no Mono. But this episode right here was honestly pretty freaking cool. Ushio and Tora teaming up against this weird piece of the beast spear which has been broken off and combined with the power of the Hakumen no Mono, which has then absorbed other demons and yokai, which is able to use their abilities in battle. To say the least, this was a pretty explosive, electrifying, and sharp episode of Ushio and Tora. It was also a very heartfelt episode, because one of those three mad scientists actually had a change of heart and decided to help out Asako, Ushio, and Tora by actually trying to find a way to neutralize the Hakumen no Mono and destroy it from the inside. But that's going to take the ultimate sacrifice, a die-hard style explosion going out like a boss. But first, let's go ahead and talk about Ushio and Tora this week. Ushio and Tora do what they do best, and that's kick all sorts of ass. They could go all out against the Hakumen no Mono, but you have Asako who actually wants to help out the other yokai who's been captured by this creature. In particular, Ball, who does end up getting saved, but I can't say the same for the other demons. I think they all get completely fried by Ushio and Tora in this episode, and that kind of feels like sort of a strange afterthought. Now, we don't know anything about those other demons that were absorbed by the Hakumen no Mono other than the fact that they were demons, they were yokai, and they were being experimented on. For all we know, they were evil, but for all we know, they weren't. So it is kind of strange that they would do that. That being said, though, before they can get to that, they decide that they're going to fill the entire building with gas and basically make it explode. And you have that one old scientist who goes by the name of Helena, and we get to learn that apparently she used to have a son who was 7 years old, and she tried to save him because she was a doctor, but he died. And ever since that moment, she's basically just been sort of obsessed and relying on science. And it's sort of like driven her to the point of insanity. And in this episode, she's sort of brought back to her, like, senses, thanks to Asako, who's trying to do everything in her power to actually save her friends. So she decides she's going to stay behind, and that's mostly because she does get attacked by the Hakumen no Mono, having a large chunk of her back completely ripped away by one of its weird spiky tentacles. So she's going to perform the sacrificial move, stay behind, and destroy everything from the inside. It all ends with this big, like, the building is going to explode in 10-minute sequence, very similar to the end of any Super Metroid game, and they end up escaping, and that's pretty much it. The Hammer Institute is going to be dissolved. However, I still have a feeling that they're going to perform some research in honor of Helena, trying to figure out a more, noble way to create a weapon to destroy the Hakumen no Mono. I'm not sure if she really got through to them at the end, because she was just basically letting them know that you have to rely on the power of friendship and all that other schmaltzy crap. I can't dress it up any better than the actual show did. I will say that the end of the episode had a very nice, heavy message, which will sit with you for a long time, but the end of the episode is basically just Ushio, Tora, and all of his friends just hanging out as they get ready for the impending doom that is the Hakumen no Mono. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Ushio and Tora? This was a pretty great way to end the first season, although I want more. I just want so much more from the series, and a lot of that is just because there's still a lot of things that I just don't know. I still want to know the history of Tora, which they still haven't gotten into at all. He's still a complete mystery of a character for me, and the second season of the show is only going to be about 13 episodes, so they only have so much to work with, so I hope they're going to be able to wrap up everything in that short amount of time. Honestly, the more I watch the Ushio and Tora anime series, the more I actually want to read the manga version, because from what I've learned from my commenters, subscribers, and just doing a little bit of research, they're skipping a lot of story arcs and a lot of, like, big elements from the manga version and just sort of, like, pretending like they don't happen, or maybe they're not as important so they feel they don't have to show them. Ushio and Tora would have probably been a much longer anime, and I'm not sure they had the budget to go that long, or maybe just the author of the series just decided, let's show the most important parts of the story only. We don't always have to do the whole Demon of the Week style storytelling, although I really wanted to see everything. I wanted to see the entire story from beginning to end. So as soon as I'm done watching watching the anime version, I'm definitely going to have to check out the manga version, if anything. What I will say is this week's episode was a lot of fun, and it also made me reflect a lot on the first season of Ushio and Tora, which is not a groundbreaking series, but it's a series that has a lot of nostalgia for me. It sort of reminds me of watching, like, Dragon Ball Z and Yu Yu Hakusho and stuff like what I used to watch, like, on Toonami. It has that old 90s feeling, and of course that's because it is based on a manga from the 90s, so that just sort of gives it that whole, like, feeling to it, and they didn't really update it too much, aside from, like, maybe a few character designs and the fact that some people use certain bits of technology, cell phones, what have you. Really, it's still the same story that it was in the 90s, and it's carrying that feeling with it. And like I said, it might not be reinventing the wheel or being anything too groundbreaking, but it's got some really enduring and fun characters. It's got some really imaginative, weird monsters, some great action scenes, and Ushio himself, while a somewhat stereotypical hero, I still think is a great hero in his own right. And I've just really been enjoying this series. It's just been one hell of a trip, and I can't wait to see how they're going to end it up in the second season, which I definitely will be reviewing until the end, because I can't wait to see how they're going to wrap it up. Ushio and Tora has been a pleasant surprise for me. Like I said, nothing crazy, but it's a series that's going to stick with me for a long time, not because of its story, more so because of its characters, especially Tora, who is one of the most expressive anime characters that I've seen in quite some time. I love him when he's angry, I love him when he's pissed and scary, but I really love him when he's being funny and comedic. He's just got some amazing expressions. So just check out this series. I'd highly recommend it. I think it's awesome. Make sure to stay tuned for the second season. What do you guys want to see from the second season of Ushio and Tora? How do you think they're going to wrap up the whole Hakumen no Mono story? Make sure to tell me in the comment sections below. I'm going to give this episode right here a 4 out of 5. While I thought it was a really good story and it had some pretty good action, I still think that the animation and artwork could be just a little bit better. I can't wait to see what they're going to do for the final 13. Maybe that season will have a somewhat bigger budget. That being said, fantastic episode. Check it out, Ushio and Tora fans. You might see something you like. Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. You guys can also follow us on social media. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!